Everybody by now should know that I'm extremely competitive. This year is all about being the best player in the league.
He's Jalen Rose. I am David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is
up,
it
though?
that we do?
We give the people what they want.
We have an update on the health of Dak Prescott, and there is a legitimate quarterback competition in New England, but they start the show with Joel Embiid signing a 4-year extension with the Philadelphia 76ers. It comes at the price of $196 million. Jalen, what does this deal mean for the Sixers moving forward?
It's great that they have their MVP candidate under contract the next few years. The most physically dominant big we have in the game. A guy that can take you out to three, can play for mid-range, but what really makes him special is that right there. His ability to be physically dominant in the paint. And health is going to always be a concern for Joel Embiid. You're not looking for him to play 75 or 80 games a season. So it's important to continue to build out your roster around him. But also, the process is still processing. Because I remember a time when they had Sam Hinkie and they had Brett Brown. They had Joel Embiid and they had Ben Simmons. Oh, wait. Now they got Daryl Morey, Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons. In the last couple of years, what I've seen with my two eyes, Toronto Raptors win the East and win the championship. Miami Heat win the East. I saw the Bucks win the East and win the championship. And then you know what else happened in that conference? The Nets got better. They added KD. They added Harden. They added Kyrie. The Miami Heat retooled this offseason. So I don't think the Philadelphia 76ers are going to win the East this year. But obviously, when you have a franchise-level player like Joel Embiid, you happy that he chose to stay. You happy that he's still under contract. But the elephant in the room is what happens with Ben Simmons. That's going to be the next domino for the Philadelphia 76ers.
That is everything for this team, is what are you going to get back for Ben Simmons? Ben Simmons might start the season on this team, but he will not finish this season on this team, I believe. And you know that the rumors are that Daryl Morey is just waiting to see what happens with Dame Lillard. And I would say this, if you put Dame Lillard alongside Joel Embiid, you have a much better shot of winning the East than if you have Ben Simmons alongside Joel Embiid. Mr. Rose, why are you so upset?
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We ain't about to. Let me tell you something. If the Philadelphia 76ers, with their roster and their assets, get on the telephone and try to call the Portland Trail Blazers about Dame Lillard, voicemail. And people don't even listen to voicemail these days. You're not getting Dame from Portland to go to Philly. There's a chance you may be able to get CJ McCollum. Like, Dame's in the same category as Joel Embiid. These are two of the top 8 players in the whole league. I don't see that deal remotely taking place, especially if I'm the Portland Trail Blazers.
Well, I think it's very important that the 76ers have Joel Embiid on this extension for 4 more years. However, as you mentioned, with the Nets and what they have, and with the Bucks and what they just did, this is not a top 2 team in the East. They're going to need to get something back in a Simmons deal. They're going to need to retool, re-up in order to get into the top 2 of the Eastern Conference, because I don't see it happening with Ben Simmons or anybody not named Dame Lillard back for Ben Simmons. Jalen Rose, we have an update on one of the most important stories in the NFL, and that is the health of the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. Here is Mike McCarthy, head coach of the Cowboys, on the latest.
There's no urgency from my perspective to see Dak play in Houston. This is more about, we just don't want to create a setback possibility, because his volume of throwing leading up to that point, I mean, he was probably in mid-season form just for the amount of work that he put in over the summer, coming out of the OTAs. So we're just trying to get that volume back to where it belongs.
So the official Twitter account said not to worry about it. Mike McCarthy saying not to worry about it. Jalen, why am I so worried about Dak Prescott? If you're the quarterback, you should probably be able to throw the football.
That part, because Mike McCarthy said we hope to get his volume back to where it should be. That's the actual concern. Have the Dallas Cowboys played a football game yet where Dak Prescott got hit or tackled or it counted in the standings? No. And they're already managing him as a player. That's not good in a physical sport like football, in particular when it's your quarterback who's returning from an ankle injury last season. Now he's dealing with shoulder soreness. You don't get MRIs unless something really is bothering you. And that's what Dak Prescott did. So this seems like something that's going to be a lingering effect for the entire season with the Dallas Cowboys.
Absolutely, and you have to remember this. If his shoulder was 100% healthy, we'd be talking about his ankle. So now he's got an ankle that he's coming back from, and he's got a shoulder, and we're sitting here talking about the volume of throws from the quarterback. You're not hearing that from other quarterbacks. I am very concerned if I'm the Cowboys, especially because, listen, Andy Dalton didn't play great, but he was a better insurance policy than Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci. If we have Ben DiNucci as quarterback for America's team again, we got problems in Dallas. I'm very concerned about this because I saw Garrett Gilbert and Ben DiNucci play in that Hall of Fame game against the Steelers. It didn't look good, and it won't look good for 17 games this regular season unless Dak Prescott can come back and be healthy. Do you expect him to start week 1?
I expect him to start week 1. I'm happy he already secured the bag. But for the Cowboys, again, of course you want to manage his health and his shoulder. That's going to be a lingering problem. But they got to get stout play from their offensive line. And Ezekiel Elliott got to run the football better. There still has to be a level of balance to take pressure off of their defense that really struggled these last few years.
There's serious fantasy team implications right here, Jalen. There's serious fantasy implications on this Dak Prescott story, which is one of the reasons that we'll be keeping an eye on it. There's also some fantasy implications with New England. There are a few legitimate quarterback competitions in the league, and apparently New England is on that list. Here's what Cam Newton had to say about the starting job for the Patriots.
No, you know that. You know he hasn't said that. So for you to just ask the question, you know, it is what it is. So every single day I'm coming out here with the anticipation to just get better, and that's the only thing that I could do. So I can control that.
So he says Coach Belichick has not named him as the starter week 1. Do you expect him to be the starter, and should he be the starter week 1?
I expect him to be the starter, but he was competitively upset about not being named the starter just yet. And this goes back to his track record. Like, Cam has always been that dude everywhere he's been. National champion at Auburn, game-changing two-way player in the NFL, led a team to a Super Bowl, won an MVP. Now he's fighting for a job with a top-flight rookie, and arguably the greatest coach of all time ain't told him that he's going to be the starter yet. You know he feels some type of way about that. But here's what Belichick did do. They spent a lot of money this offseason. That's one thing they did do. And with Cam Newton's style of play, in particular at the tight end spot, this is going to be a 3 down and a cloud of dust type of thing when Cam Newton is in there, dinking and dunking otherwise, because he's vastly different style than Mac Jones. But to answer your question, yes, I believe he starts week 1.
I think he starts week 1 as well. And, are we really surprised that Bill Belichick hasn't shown his hand of what he's going to do at the quarterback position? Are we really surprised that Bill Belichick is playing things close to the vest? Bill Belichick probably won't tell Cam Newton he's the starter week 1 until, Sunday morning after breakfast. That's just how Bill Belichick is, and that's how I expect this to play out. However, will Cam Newton finish the season as the starting quarterback is a different question that we will keep an eye on as the season moves on. Jalen, I know that you have a special place in your heart for all of the Jalens around the world. And Jalen Green, the number 2 pick in the draft, is one of those. However, he wanted to be the number 1 pick in the draft. And here is what he said about your home city of Detroit, Michigan. Here's what Jalen said about not getting picked number 1. Quote, I wanted to be the number 1 pick, but as for the location, I didn't want to be in Detroit. With Detroit, it felt like I was just going back to the G League bubble, and I just got out of the bubble. That's pretty much what it was. In the G League bubble, I didn't really have anything to do but just stay in the gym. That's what it felt like in Detroit. I wouldn't be stepping outside in Detroit. There are not many things you can do in Detroit like that. Mr. Rose, your namesake just disrespected your hometown. How do you feel about his sentiments about your home city?
Rest in peace, Jeannie Cassandra Rose, my beloved mom, a Detroit native who created the name Jalen that he carries. But if you think I'm gonna come on this show and blast a namesake, he's gonna have to do a lot more than that. He's a terrific talent, he has a great personality, and he has a flair for the dramatic. Jacoby, you and I know what this is. This is competitive jealousy that he didn't go number 1 overall.
Yep.
Going into the draft process, he said out of his mouth that he would love to be a Piston, go number 1, and live in Detroit. Well, Detroit took Cade Cunningham. So now he's creating a rivalry with Cade Cunningham, who just so happened to get drafted by Detroit. I don't know how many times he's been there to say that there's nowhere to hang out, but newsflash, there's places to hang out everywhere when you got millions of dollars, ladies and gentlemen. This is just really one of those things when you look back at his career, if he becomes what I believe he could become, because I believe he got all NBA special type of talent. We'll look back at this like we look at MJ or like we look at Kobe, and we'll say he took that slight of not being number 1 or not getting chosen to Cade Cunningham as motivation to fuel his fire. That's really all this is. It's not about Detroit. They just so happen to be the team with the number 1 overall pick.
Jalen Green looked great in Summer League while he was there. Cade Cunningham looked great in Summer League while he was there. Look forward to watching those two for the rest of their careers. But one thing that Jalen Green needs to know is you need to go to Detroit with Jalen Rose. When you go to Detroit with Jalen Rose, there's a lot of reasons to go outside. There are a lot of reasons to go outside when you go to Detroit, hosted by Mr. Jalen Anthony Rose. Tim Tebow tried to be a tight end. Jalen, he just got released. We'll give you the latest on Tebow right after this. To you live above the Heineken River Deck here at Pier 17 at the Seaport. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Anthony Rose. Tim Tebow got released. Jaguars have released their fourth-string tight end, Tim Tebow. After his amazing performance in the first preseason game, I can't see why they would do this. I can't see why they would do this, Mr. Rose.
I thought you was going to be on your slick Rick. Don't hurt me again. Don't hurt me again. You going to be all right? I was just telling you yesterday that block was not Anthony Munoz. I was just telling you that. It was as a lineman, or it didn't remind me of like Kellen Winslow Sr. Like it just didn't do that for me. You were the one that was like, oh my God, Tebow cracked back and they got a first down. Play it again. Play it again.
Laying the wood, putting the pads into somebody. Look at that. It looks like a first down and a great block to me. I don't know why you would release this, man. I don't know why you would do that. But you know what? That just means he's going to go to a contender. He's going to go to a contender and get a championship. This isn't the end for Tim Tebow as the tight end. This is just one setback. This is just a setback on the road to glory for Tim Tebow as a tight end in the NFL. Moving on, back to basketball. Marcus Smart of the Celtics has got an extension. He's got 4 more years, $77 million. What do you think about the Celtics' moves this offseason, bringing in Schroeder, having extension on Smart, the development of Pitcher? What do you think about them in the Eastern Conference?
So we just saw the Milwaukee Bucks win the championship, and obviously it was because of the dominance of Giannis and the emergence of Chris Middleton on the big stage. But the key factor was adding Drew Holiday, because not only is he a capable three-point shooter, but he's a lockdown defender. And while Marcus Smart isn't as good as Drew, he provides a lot of those things for the Boston Celtics. And as a matter of fact, he's actually their best passer. And you can't just trade him this offseason and not get fair value in return, especially when you're Brad Stevens and you're now the president, you were the coach. And so what happens in these cases, when you fire the coach in theory and he becomes the president, you know what he does? He invests in the players that he liked when he was the head coach. So that's why you're going to make sure they take care of Marcus Smart. That's why you're going to bring back Al Horford. It doesn't necessarily mean that the Celtics are a contending team in the Eastern Conference, but he is a quality rotation player that I would love to have on my team. An improved three-point shooter, a tough defender, and the heart and soul in a lot of ways of the Boston Celtics.
It's interesting. He went from someone who was always talked about in trade rumors to someone who just signed a 4-year extension with the team. And I think that Brad Stevens had a lot to do that, as you pointed out. He also used to share a backcourt with Evan Fournier, who is now with the New York Knicks. So what Evan Fournier did is he took to social media and said he was just looking for a barber in the New York area. And someone said, you know what? A fella named Kevin, he's in Brooklyn. He cut you up in Tokyo. Maybe he can do it again. And I always say you can be mean if you're funny. Evan Fournier responded with, he needs a barber too. Jalen Rose, I always say you can be mean if you're funny. Is this inbounds for Mr. Fournier?
Well, the social media KFP king, I like how he did the Arnold Horseshack and he instigated. Like, ooh, 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 ooh. Like, there's a guy in Brooklyn that already sliced you up in the Olympics, and then he teed it up like Sean Kemp from Gary Payton. But here's the deal. Jacoby, you did teach me you can be mean if you're funny, but if you're Evan Fournier, he got to be feeling himself. Like, he scored 28 against Team USA this summer. He just got a big deal with the Knicks. The Knicks and the Nets are trying to create a crosstown New York rivalry. So he's just feeding into it. That's all.
Can I defend my guy Kevin Durant for a second? You've spent so much time and energy on your hairline, and you wear a furry bucket hat on TV if it's not 100% perfect. Kevin Durant don't care. Like, he puts no effort or energy into making his hair look the way it looks. He's like, you know what I'll do? I'll score 35 in the playoffs, and I don't care if I got a little bald spot. That doesn't bother me whatsoever. That's one thing I like about him is he's not holding on to something that ain't there. He's just living his natural hair life, which I appreciate. Shout out to you, Kevin Durant, for having the strength to do so.
Easy money sniper. And I got a news flash for everybody. All I do is sit in the chair, dog. I don't do nothing.
It looks good.
All I do is sit in the chair.
Why do we have the hat?
That's it. All I do is sit. All I do is sit in the chair.
For soft move or boss move?
You know what I mean? That's it.
The starting quarterback for the Kentucky Wildcats eats bananas like this. Mr. Rose, I can't wait for you to see this video. This is how my man eats bananas. Watch him. Takes the banana.
Of course.
Eats the skin. Eats the peel. Soft move or boss move, eating the peel of the banana.
David Jacoby. Not only is this a soft move, we should have made this cultural or regional. Because you know, when I saw this video, I knew he was going to look a lot more like you than me. I just knew you could have bet anything. So this is a soft move and cultural.
It's a soft move, but also, dog, like, that is not a ripe banana. Like, that banana was good like 5 days ago. 5 days ago. When we come back, Travis Kelce has done something that might change his career forever.